All right, we are good to go. Welcome. My name is Chris Salerno, founder and CEO of QC Capital and also Aquashine Express Car Wash. With me here today is Keith Lawrence, our COO of operations of Aquashine Express Car Wash. We wanted to come to you and make this video because a hot topic that is going around, and we're seeing it from our previous investors, new investors that are coming in, is a bankruptcy that happened in the car wash sector. And so what Keith and I thought would be a great topic is to discuss why Zips Car Wash went bankrupt or filed for bankruptcy, and what are we doing differently, the ins and outs about the car wash sector, and why we still feel that it is a great investment opportunity given the current environment that we're seeing. So Keith, I'll let you start off with a little background about yourself, your experience for those who may not know you, and then I'll take it away once you are finished, and then we'll dive straight into it with our agenda that we have.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Keith Lawrence, Chief Operating Officer of Aquashine Express Car Wash. Been in the car wash industry over 12 years. Started with a car wash company in the Northeast, helping build that out. Exited at 75 washes. Moved out west, built a company from 0 to 75 washes again, sold that portfolio to Circle K, have helped out multiple portfolios and groups around the nation, but here with Aquashine now because I think we're really believing in it and doing it the right way. So I have a ton of experience about what to do, what not to do, and the right way to run a business like this.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Keith. And myself, CEO of QC Capital and Aquashine Express, bought and sold multiple businesses throughout my decade of being in real estate. My first company was a $40 million annual sales company that I built in a year, selling that right after that year and a half mark, to then becoming the COO of a larger brokerage, bringing them from 92 million all the way up to 147 million, selling that. And in the mix of that, buying and selling multiple companies. Ended up creating QC Capital at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, to solely focus on institutional grade multifamily assets. Saw where the market environment was going there, and we pivoted into the car wash sector. Very happy that Keith and I were able to cross paths and us partner on Aquashine Express and growing the Aquashine Express brand throughout the Southeast and possibly coming up here in the Northeast as well. But let's dive straight into it. Be cautious with everyone's time here. Diving into the Zips bankruptcy. So Zips recently filed for bankruptcy. Zips is one of the largest car washes. I believe they're number 2 in the United States, or definitely top 5 in the United States for car washes. And there's a lot that went wrong with Zips. One thing that we have noticed is that they have around $654 million in debt, about $1 million cash on hand. However, they tapped into their loan or their investors to bring about $15 million, and they're actually restructuring some of their loans and or restructuring some of their rental agreements that they have with other owners. A big aggressive expansion, which I'm sure Keith will touch on here when private equity came into it and why we're different. But a lot of these firms wanted big aggressive expansion. So what they did was they would buy a car wash site with the existing land. And by the time they closed on it, they already had it listed, the land for sale, where they kept the business, and then the land they listed out at a crazy stupid number, the highest possible number they can get for per site. And then they use that capital to go ahead and use that for expansion growth. And that's what they did, is they used that capital for expansion growth, and they kept doing it. Well, when there is a little softening in the market, or when sales may be down 5 or 10% a year, give or take, that can put a very large hinder on that rental number that you wanted top dollar for expansions. And so that's what I personally noticed right there, is that they grew too fast without owning the physical real estate. They went and hurry up and triple net lease that real estate out on very, very high terms because they wanted that money for growth. The rental concessions, they're in the process of negotiating with other owners. We're actually excited to speak to some of those owners to actually purchase some of their locations, which is great. And the bankruptcy was supported by the lenders, which included a structured plan and business that is a restructure of systems and operation as well. And they're selling off their locations to recoup capital. And we are happy to go ahead and acquire some of those locations that fit our criteria. However, the caveat is we have to own the real estate. That's something very different about Aquashine Express and all other car wash companies out there, is we have to own the real estate. So our investors get to participate not only in the cash flowing business, but the underlying real estate. All right, Keith, I'll let you take it away with some key points that you've noticed from the Zips filing bankruptcy issue, and then also what you saw they did wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I think Chris nailed it here, right? Yeah, the big thing is the mission was grow as fast as possible. And whenever the mission is grow as fast as possible and not necessarily have the best fiscal mind or head on your shoulders about a situation, you make bad calls. So they did sell the land out from under their properties to fuel their expansions, and then started growing really fast and getting really big. But I think the issue that they fell into, which a few other groups fell into as well, is during COVID, we saw 25, 35% growth month over month because people were looking for any reason to get out of the house. So even when people talk about a softening in the market, which technically is true, or a downturn in the market, like no downturn, let's not speak in that way, right? It's because month over month and year over year, car wash has seen consistent growth, never down, always up. But the difference is during COVID, business was growing by 26 to 36% a year. Now it's growing by a standard 5 to 10% rate, which is still fantastic for anybody who owns or operates retail business. You know, that's a great growth rate for any business sector. They just kind of overplayed and overstepped their hands. And then once they realized they had gotten a little too big without the operational expertise and the ability to support those sites, they did what all bad operators do, which is they cut the labor right out from under their sites. So they fired all the directors and all the ops team. They took the sites from 300 or 350 hours a week, which is a great, really nice, well-staffed site, down to 120 hours a week, where site managers were often working alone, where sites would only have 1 or 2 or 3 employees max on the schedule. We've had a lot of their people come to us and ask for jobs. Unfortunately, we haven't been in a position to always support those roles, but we have hired some Zips employees who are happy to finally see other employees at the site while they're there. So, I mean, those are the big key factors for us is, over leveraged and then tried to cut the bottom out in the one place you shouldn't be trying to save money, which is your customer interaction base, which is your people. It's the last place you should cut. We can cut from here or there. We can cut corporate expense. We can try to do other things, but we should never cut from the site. And not only that, here at QC, here at Aquashine, we hold reserves in case of a downturn. We also own the land. That way, in a horrible emergency scenario, of course, we have that land to lean on. We have that viability, and we have that ability to pull equity out of our property if needed. We don't get ourselves into a bankruptcy situation ever, no matter how the situation goes. Also, we grow slower, not slow, but slower, so that we're insulated from that type of one-off market change. And we're not making these 12 and 13 and 14x EBITDA sales deals that some groups do, because we have to be good stewards of our money. Our personal capital is invested here along with your capital.
Yeah, well said, Keith. I appreciate that. Now we're going to discuss about why the car wash industry is very strong still. This is, disturbing to hear that, companies filing bankruptcy. They may not go through all of it, but they are filing. And if you know about bankruptcy, you have to file before you can actually, go to bankruptcy court. So there's a lot going on. It can take quite a while. However, it's very saddening to hear any company has to get to that point. But it doesn't mean that the industry is doomed and gloomed. The industry is actually still very, very much thriving. People are still wanting memberships. I spoke to an investor today who pays over $100 for his monthly membership. So people still want memberships. They still want to go to a professional place to have their car cleaned, where it does it very quickly and very good with great customer service, instead of washing cars through the home. Also, Zips did not fail due to lack of customers or lack of customers wanting to go. The issue is that the customers would go and the customer service experience was lacking at the site level and the corporate level of Zips. And that's what we noticed head on, especially here in Charlotte. When you go to a couple Zips, they don't have company logos. They just have a random hoodie on, and they're not engaging in the customers like we have at Aquashine Express, which is mandatory, is that customer service interaction, getting to know the customers, calling them by their name, saying hi to them, making sure their car is clean. And so it's super important to have that customer service interaction. And I know Keith preaches on it with our regionals and our on-site managers tremendously, is customer service is key. And that's what we lead with. And I think that's one thing I noticed personally going to a Zips that did not work out, is the customer service interaction was not there and ultimately, unfortunately, failed. And you saw that with their systems and with their processes. The reoccurring revenue subscriptions is still there, and it's growing still very heavily. We're seeing that at all of our sites, huge conversion rates. People still want to wash their cars. They're always going to want to have a clean car. It is a very large, in most cases, first and also second highest ownership expense in most households. So people want a clean car. They want to take care of their car, and we're still seeing subscriptions increase. However, like Keith touched on, you don't cut the payroll. You make sure you double down and you give great quality customer service on all sites. And that's even with social media and at a site level. Keith, did I miss anything there?
No, not at all. I wouldn't say you missed anything, but I'm always like passionate to add to any operator who will listen and any investor who will listen to say, you know, it's that, is it formal? Is it professional? Is the touch right? Is the feel right? Right. For a lot of people, they're asking us to care for their largest asset or their second largest asset in place of their home. And so when they come in, they see us. Are we looking right? Are we professional? Do we look good? And does it look like we care about our own business, right? The place is sharp and clean. We keep our sites Disney perfect. So, no trash blowing in the wind, no mulch in the concrete, nothing. And it just says to them, hey, we're going to take care of your car the way we take care of our business, which is at a very high, excellent level. And it makes them feel more secure. It's like, do you know what the number one rating is for restaurants? It's the bathroom, right? If the bathroom looks horrible, you shouldn't be eating there. And that's what customers say again and again. And it's the same thing at the wash. If the people are professional and the site looks clean, I feel more confident that they're taking care of the equipment and everything is in good repair and they're going to take good care of my car. And God forbid, if I come out and I believe something did happen, I believe there is damage, or I believe there is an issue with the cleanliness of my car, you look around and you go, okay, these aren't people who are ripping people off and running out of town with my money. These are good, legitimate business people. They take themselves seriously. They're going to take me seriously, and they're going to take care of my car. And that's something that I think anybody who has visited a Zips in the last couple of years knows just doesn't really exist.
Yeah, no, you are spot on there, especially with their operations and how they operate each site. A couple big things is in L Car Wash, which is a wonderful car wash down in South Florida, just acquired about 6 Zips out of Central Florida for about $50 million. What that shows across the board is that we had a car wash company file for bankruptcy. This gives us opportunity to cherry pick great quality sites, go in there and add the Aquashine Express systems, models, training to employees, new employees on sites, revamp, renovate these current sites and make them better for the residents and people who live around these sites. So it's super important that we see this as an opportunity. That unfortunately, a business who filed bankruptcy needs to liquidate sites. And we, as operators who are very disciplined, can go out and cherry pick the sites that complement our other sites that are in great quality locations and acquire those sites for our portfolio with the real estate and better operate these sites than what they've currently been operating at to increase the value, increase the cash flow for all of the investors that are participating. So this is great opportunity where a bigger player is going out of business or filed for bankruptcy. We have the opportunity to hand pick great quality sites from them and then also our investors can reap the benefits of buying discounted sites, which we have done before with other operators, and those sites are currently in our portfolio. So definitely want to touch on that. When we analyze these sites, we have to use the proper due diligence, the proper software to make sure that these sites fit the Aquashine Express criteria. All right, now we're going to talk about QC Capital and Aquashine Express position for success and why our approach is different. Keith, do you want to take this one first? I'll let you take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a couple things to note straight out the gate is if you're concerned about investing in car wash, and I would encourage you to look at even the Zips bankruptcy led to L Car Wash buying 9 of their locations for $50 million. Like we said, car washing is a tight-knit community. We all know each other. We're all friendly. There's not as much of this back and forth. And if it seems like we're hating on Zips, not at all, right? Like we're all in the same family. That's not what it's about. L Car Wash, very good operators. They paid $50 million for 9 locations, and I'm sure they're going to turn those locations around and do a good job. So look where other successful operators are putting their money, the same place we're putting our money and our livelihood is into these sites. Because the cash flow is so good. And there is this opportunity to take that Chick-fil-A approach, that person-to-person approach. At our new Melbourne site, if you swing by, you'll see that there aren't even kiosks there anymore. We have pedestals with tablets, and our people are going to be selling direct to consumers. So it's not an AI-driven, fully tech-based thing anymore. People want some personal interaction. They want to know, hey, when I come in every time, I see Chris, I see Keith, and they know me. And when they pull up, it scans their car and it pops up and says Dave Williams. And you say, hey, Dave, how's it going? How you been? And we make those personal connections, person to person, one at a time. We're not overpaying for properties. And I know I ramble and I get too passionate, but yeah, it's just, we're doing it the right way. And there's no other way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think a big thing is all of our investors can appreciate our discipline that we have when we are analyzing properties. And I encourage anyone to come to our corporate headquarters here in Charlotte, North Carolina, to sit in, to see how our acquisition department operates and values and sees these deals, because we meet multiple times a week and we see hundreds of deals. However, we pass on majority of them. And the reason why is because they don't fit our criteria. They are not at our price point. We have to make sure that these properties are very strategic when it comes to the financials of them, the location, the demographic, the gross, the median household income, the housing density on our sites. And then we also use data that tracks cell phones or that actually purchase cell phone data. And we're able to see the movement and migration of people. We utilize all of that just before we even start taking even a deeper dive into the sites. And in some cases, it can take us a couple weeks. When we present you guys an opportunity and a fund or a deal into the fund, that could take us about anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks that we've analyzed this deal, made the decision, and even dove into it before we even submitted an LOI. And then from there, we go on site. We do on-site inspections very thoroughly. So I think it's important to understand that process, because a lot of different type of operators out there, they don't have that type of criteria. They don't understand it. They don't use the software that we use to make sure we're making sound decisions when we acquire these sites. It's all about locations, systems, processes, and operations. And honored to be in business with Keith and his knowledge and the team that he's cultivated as well to make sure that these operations is top priority and to create that family atmosphere where our employees want to work for Aquashine. They want to grow the Aquashine brand throughout the Southeast, including Texas. Any other thing there, Keith, that you'd like to add?
Yeah. I was just going to say, absolutely, talking with us, meeting with us, talking about our acquisition pipeline, seeing how we value properties. I think one of the biggest things that some groups tend to do is they go, we have a big brand. People love us. It's good branding, which I agree with. That's an important pivotal thing to have. But at the end of the day, the analytics that we have and the cell phone data tell us that over 90% of our customers live and work within 3 miles of the wash. Yep. So any advertising spent outside of 3 miles, kind of wasted, right? So we spend our money doing very targeted marketing. And some properties that are seen as really high value, which I agree with, being in the Walmart parking lot can be a great advantage to drive traffic through your wash. But do you want that one-stop shop retail volume, or do you want that continued membership that takes the ebbs and flows out of the everyday business and lets us staff accordingly without having to worry about cash flow? So could Walmart parking lot be great? Absolutely. But if the closest residential is 3.5 miles away, you might want to look again. And so there are lots of properties. When Chris says we turn down a lot of property, we absolutely do. But the main reason is because, everyone was excited about this market and still should be. But build appropriately, build in the right demographics, build in the right areas. We have no problem building in a small town or an ancillary to like a main thoroughfare. But it has to be the right median household income and the right population density. We can't go out in the woods and build a car wash. And right now, some of these overpopulators like Zips, like the Take Fives of the world have built in some really strange places that unfortunately just can't cash flow and can't work. And it's made the rest of us, the smaller operators like ourselves, look concerning to people. But I'm telling you right now, come in, meet us, see our due diligence, see the way we operate in select sites, and it'll assuage all your fears.
Most definitely. Thank you, Keith, on that. And to overall and summarize everything, being cautious with everyone's wonderful time. And I appreciate everyone watching this video. We wanted to really send this out to help educate everyone. But to overall and summarize it, the big key points that we've taken away is lack of operations that we have seen. So lack of operations when it comes to other companies, on-site operations, which that's one thing we strive for, and also customer service experience. Larger private equity groups, also institutions in Wall Street, are still finding this industry very appealing, especially because of the reoccurring revenue. Customers are still wanting to wash their cars. Demand is still extremely high. So we're very excited still with the car wash sector in the right locations with putting the right systems and operations in place. And thankfully, we have a wonderful team that Keith Lawrence and Chris Williams are leading throughout us building out the portfolio of Aquashine Express and the markets that we're currently in. Keith, do you want to wrap up anything before we go ahead and close this out?
Yeah, you know me, I could wrap up everything.
I know.
So no, just I would encourage anybody with questions to reach out. We're readily accessible. All of our cell phones and emails are always attached to everything we send out. So yeah, let's have a talk. Anybody who has concerns, anybody who has thoughts, I encourage you to visit one of our sites, see the difference, feel the difference, and then visit one of our local competitors, see the difference, feel the difference, and then you'll understand, what we're doing here and how we operate a little differently.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you so much for everyone who's going to watch this and is watching this. Please, again, like Keith said, do not hesitate to reach out. Our personal numbers, our personal emails are accessible to anybody. We are happy to be a part and work with you guys. So please reach out. Would love to hear from you. If you are not a member at one of our sites and maybe somewhere else, and there's some great ideas that you have, do not hesitate to email us. We would love to hear from you. We appreciate you guys watching this. We look forward to working with you if you are not in our fund. If you are in our fund, we are excited that we are working with you and looking forward to future growth. Thank you all and enjoy a beautiful weekend.